Hello, this is Bruce Barclay coming to you again from J-Tech Automotive, and I'm here to tell you how to do a fuel system test, a fuel system pressure test on this 2002 Silverado. Okay, first of all, we've got a pressure gauge connected here, and it is connected to our fuel rail that's coming from our fuel tank. And our fuel comes in back over there, it runs over the fuel rail and supplies fuel to the injectors on both sides of this engine, and then there's a return line that runs out of there, goes back to the fuel tank. We have this connector that connects to our servicing port for our fuel rail, and then we have a quick disconnect here that connects us to our gauge. Now, when we have everything connected and everything is safe, you want to turn the key over to the on position. You do not want to turn it on and make it run. And when you do that, the fuel pump will come on and you should see a reading right around 50 psi. You want to make a note of that and compare that against the factory specifications. At that point, you want to start the engine and see what happens to your pressure. It's going to go up a little bit is when the motor's first being fired, but after it fires, it should stabilize and drop back down, back to the same pressure that it was when you turned it on in the first place. While the engine's running, you might want to do a throttle snap. You know, snap the throttle to see what the pressure gauge does. When that happens, the pressure's probably going to shoot up to right around 80 psi. Just for a second, because the engine's demanding a lot more fuel at that moment, so that the gauge will jump up to about 80 psi or so, and then once it reaches that RPM that you've set, it'll stabilize again. It'll go back down to about 50, and then if you release it, it'll drop back down to 50 again. And then there's another test that you can do, and what you do is you take the return line while the engine's running, and you squeeze it, and you shut it off. You squeeze it with some pliers or something, and what that does is it doesn't allow the fuel to return to the pump or to the fuel tank, and you'll get to see the maximum output that the pump is able to put out, and that's usually going to run right around 80 psi. And another thing that you can do with this is, if you want to draw a fuel sample, or if you want to see how much your fuel pump is able to output, you can use this line and this little button on this gauge and put this into a container and measure your fuel output, or also draw a fuel sample. Anyway, that's how you do a fuel system pressure test on this Silverado.